The sun dipped low over the snow-covered peaks of the Alps, casting a golden hue across the luxurious resort nestled in the valley. Inside, the atmosphere was a stark contrast to the serene landscape outside. The annual Global Finance Summit was in full swing, bringing together the sharpest minds in the financial world. Isabella Moore, a 28-year-old entrepreneur, stood by the window of her hotel room, gazing out at the breathtaking view. For her, this wasn't just another conference. It was an opportunity of a lifetime. After years of relentless effort and countless sleepless nights, she had built a promising startup. Now she was here to pitch her project and secure the investments needed to take her vision to the next level. Born into a modest family, Isabella had climbed her way up the ladder through sheer determination and intelligence. However, the financial world was merciless, and she knew that she had to prove herself at every step. Little did she know, this summit would challenge her in ways she could never anticipate, forcing her to confront not only her ambitions, but also her heart. When Isabella arrived at the hotel reception, she couldn't hide her excitement. Every detail of this trip had been meticulously planned. However, her excitement quickly turned into frustration when the receptionist informed her of a booking error. All the rooms were fully occupied, and the only solution was to share a room with another guest. That guest was none other than Liam Carter, the 35-year-old CEO of Carter Holdings, a renowned investment conglomerate with a global reach. Known for his strategic brilliance and calm demeanor, Liam also had a reputation for being cold and aloof. Isabella had heard of him before, but meeting him under these circumstances was entirely unexpected. As Isabella entered the shared suite, a wave of discomfort washed over her. Liam sat in a leather chair near the fireplace, his posture relaxed and a glass of wine in hand. "Looks like we're unexpected roommates," Liam said in a deep, detached voice. Isabella immediately disliked his arrogant tone. To her, Liam wasn't just a powerful CEO, but also a competitor at this conference. However, instead of showing her irritation, she simply dragged her suitcase to her side of the room, letting out a soft sigh as she thought to herself, "This is going to be a very long trip." The next morning, the conference officially commenced in the grandeur of the main hall. Entrepreneurs, investors, and top financial experts from around the world gathered to discuss groundbreaking business strategies and lucrative collaboration opportunities. Isabella entered the hall dressed in an elegant gray suit, radiating captivating confidence. She presented her startup project, a tech solution designed to enhance financial efficiency for small businesses. Her passion and deep understanding quickly captured the audience's attention. Many investors showed interest, but Isabella knew she needed to make an even stronger impression to secure her goal. Meanwhile, Liam delivered his presentation on Carter Holdings' expansion strategy. With his calm demeanor and persuasive skills, he commanded the room's full attention. However, during the open discussion session, Isabella didn't hesitate to challenge him. The expansion strategy of Carter Holdings relies too heavily on acquiring tech startups without adequately assessing the risks. Don't you think spreading too thin could weaken the core values of your corporation? The hall fell silent for a moment. Liam turned toward Isabella, his gaze cold yet challenging. "Risk assessment is important, but so is the ability to seize opportunities. The companies we invest in are carefully vetted," he responded smoothly. Isabella didn't back down. She stood up, her gaze unwavering. "You may seize opportunities, but without a proper exit strategy, your entire investment portfolio could face significant risks, especially with your recent investment in an AI startup." Her pointed words sent murmurs through the hall. Liam slightly furrowed his brow, surprised at Isabella's profound understanding of his company's financial dealings. Though his tone remained composed, his eyes betrayed a flicker of irritation. From that moment, a mutual respect began to form between them, though the competitive tension in the air remained palpable. After a long, tense day at the conference, Isabella returned to the hotel room, trying to stay focused. She sat at the desk, flipping through her notes for the next day. However, the soft clink of glass caught her attention. "You've been working nonstop. Maybe you should take a break," Liam said, pouring himself another glass of red wine. Holding the bottle, he raised an eyebrow at her, a subtle challenge in his gaze. "A glass of wine might help you forget the numbers, just for a while." Isabella hesitated but eventually stood up. "Just one glass," she said, stepping closer. Liam poured her a glass, the wine glistening under the dim glow of the fireplace. They sat across from each other, their initial conversation polite and distant, yet as the rich, sweet wine flowed, their walls began to crumble. "What drives you, Isabella?" Liam asked, his tone unusually sincere. Isabella smiled faintly, her eyes softening. "I don't want to go back to being poor. I want to prove that where you come from doesn't define your future." "You're brutally honest," Liam admitted, sipping his wine. "What about me? What do you see when you look at me?" Isabella's gaze met his, her voice steady. "I see a man carrying too much responsibility, but it doesn't make you any less lonely." Her words struck something deep within Liam. The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable, but instead carried a newfound understanding. Liam leaned closer, his intense gaze fixed on her. "Maybe you're right," he whispered, setting his glass aside. His hand gently brushed against her cheek, his touch tender as if he feared breaking something fragile. Isabella didn't pull away. She let herself be guided by the moment, and as their lips met, the barriers between them dissolved. That night, under the flickering light of the fireplace, they surrendered to their emotions. Liam's touch was both fervent and gentle, a stark contrast to the composed businessman she thought she knew. They explored each other with a raw passion that left no room for hesitation, their breaths mingling as they moved in perfect rhythm. Afterward, they lay side by side, the warmth of the fire casting soft shadows across the room. Isabella rested her head against Liam's chest, their hearts beating in harmony. The room fell silent, but between them, something unspoken and undeniable had formed. The next morning, the pale light of dawn filtered through the hotel room's curtains, illuminating the quiet space. Isabella stirred awake, feeling Liam's steady breaths beside her. For a moment she lay there, her head resting on his chest, savoring the fleeting peace. But reality soon crept in. Memories of the previous night flooded her mind, the tender touches, the whispered words. But Isabella knew this was a moment, not a future she could hold on to. Liam was a man burdened with immense responsibilities, and she couldn't allow herself to complicate his life. Carefully, she slipped out of bed, moving as quietly as possible to avoid waking him. After dressing and gathering her belongings, she stood for a moment, watching him sleep. His peaceful expression tugged at her heart, but she forced herself to turn away. "Thank you for last night," she whispered, so softly even she could barely hear it. As she left the hotel, the morning air was crisp, and a heavy weight settled over her. Isabella convinced herself this was for the best, keeping her distance from Liam and focusing on her career. Weeks passed, and Isabella began noticing unusual changes in her body. Fatigue and morning nausea became part of her routine. At first, she attributed it to work stress, but as the symptoms persisted, she decided to consult a doctor. The ultrasound results left her stunned. Isabella was pregnant. Staring at the tiny image on the screen, she felt a mix of joy and apprehension. Questions loomed heavy in her mind. How would Liam react if he knew? Would he see her and the baby as a responsibility or a burden? Determined to handle the situation alone, Isabella chose to keep the pregnancy a secret and moved to New York. There, she immersed herself in work, signing a deal with a prestigious financial consulting firm while preparing to welcome the child on her own. Though she projected strength, loneliness gnawed at her and thoughts of Liam often surfaced. "We'll be okay," she whispered, placing her hand over her belly. "I'll protect you, no matter what happens." 7 months after leaving Zurich, Isabella was settling into her new life in New York. She poured herself into work while preparing for the arrival of her baby. Yet, no matter how hard she tried, thoughts of Liam occasionally surfaced, unbidden but persistent. One afternoon, Isabella attended a major economic summit to pitch her latest project. Dressed in a flowing, light group dress, she hoped to conceal her now prominent belly. As she stepped into the grand hall, she felt the weight of curious glances but brushed them aside, her confidence steady as ever. She didn't know Liam was also attending the summit. When his eyes landed on her, he froze, shock overtaking his usually composed expression. His gaze locked onto her unmistakable figure. Her rounded belly revealed the truth he hadn't known. "Isabella!" Liam called, his voice deep but steady. Isabella stopped in her tracks, her heart pounding. Turning slowly, she met his piercing gaze, and in that instant, she knew she couldn't avoid the truth any longer. "Liam," she said, her voice calm though her emotions churned. Liam's eyes flickered to her belly, his voice quieter but edged with disbelief. You're pregnant?" Isabella nodded but quickly cut off the conversation. "This isn't the right place to discuss it. I have a presentation to deliver." But Liam wasn't letting this go. "We need to talk, Isabella," he said, his tone firm. After the summit ended, Liam waited for her in the hotel hallway. When she appeared, his intense gaze bore into hers, demanding answers. "How long have you known? Why didn't you tell me?" he asked, his voice a mix of hurt and frustration. Isabella sighed, her exhaustion evident. "Liam, I thought this was best for both of us. Your life is complicated and I didn't want to be a burden." But Liam shook his head, his voice unwavering. "Isabella, you and the baby are my family. I could never see you as a burden." Liam's words stopped Isabella in her tracks. For the first time, she saw him not as the cold, distant CEO, but as a man speaking with genuine sincerity. "Liam," she said softly, her voice a mix of doubt and emotion, "you're saying this now, but your life isn't simple. I don't want our child to be caught in the pressures you're already carrying." Liam stepped closer, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to go through this alone. I want to be there for you, for our child, not out of obligation, but because I truly want to." His words began to chip away at the walls Isabella had built. After a moment of silence, she nodded, her gaze softening. "If you're serious, I'll give you a chance. But this has to come from a place of sincerity, not just responsibility." From that day forward, Liam became actively involved in every aspect of Isabella's life. He accompanied her to doctor appointments, asked thoughtful questions, and ensured she was comfortable at every step. One evening, he surprised her by taking her to a new apartment he had arranged, a warm and inviting space with a nursery carefully designed for the baby. Isabella was overcome with emotion as she stepped into the room, where every detail had been meticulously planned, from the tiny wooden crib to the adorable baby clothes. "You did all this?" she asked, her voice catching. "I want to make sure our child has the best start in life," Liam said, his gaze filled with tenderness. Gradually, Isabella's doubts began to fade. She saw that Liam wasn't just saying the right things, he was proving them through his actions. They started discussing their future together, planning how to raise their child, and sharing their hopes for the family they were building. After their heartfelt conversation at the hotel, Liam made a firm decision. He wanted Isabella to move in with him so he could take better care of her during the pregnancy. One evening, he gently brought it up while they were walking in the park. "I want to take care of you and Sophia properly," Liam said, his voice low but firm. "Please move in with me." Though hesitant at first, Isabella eventually agreed, realizing the sincerity in his eyes and how much effort he was putting into making her feel secure. When Isabella moved in, Liam immediately took on the role of a devoted caretaker. He carefully decorated the room with soft curtains and pastel-toned bedding, adding fresh flowers every week to brighten the space. Every morning, he would open the curtains, letting the sunlight pour in, and greet her with a warm smile. "Good morning, Isabella. Breakfast is ready," he would say, carrying a tray with freshly squeezed orange juice, a bowl of oatmeal, and a single rose for her. Every morning, Liam brought her a nutritious breakfast in bed. Fresh fruit, whole grains, and a warm glass of milk were always on the tray. On days when Isabella felt exhausted or overwhelmed by morning sickness, Liam stayed by her side, gently massaging her back or placing a warm compress to ease her discomfort. In the evenings, he would read parenting books and share tips on newborn care, his excitement about fatherhood shining through in every word. Liam's attentiveness extended beyond Isabella's well-being. He lovingly prepared a nursery, painted in soft pastel tones, and placed a wooden crib near their bed so their baby girl could be close by when she arrived. When Isabella gave birth to their first child, a beautiful baby girl they named Sophia, symbolizing new beginnings and hope. Holding Sophia in his arms, Liam's eyes glowed with pure joy. "She's beautiful, just like her mother," he whispered softly. Isabella smiled, tired but content. "I never imagined things would come to this." "Thank you, Liam, for always being here." Liam pressed a gentle kiss to her forehead. "You and Sophia are my entire world." From the moment Sophia was born, she became the heart of Liam and Isabella's world. The first few weeks at home were challenging, but also filled with joy and love. Liam took care of Isabella and Sophia with unwavering devotion. He woke up in the middle of the night to change diapers, rock Sophia to sleep, or prepare bottles when she cried. Whenever Isabella felt tired, Liam insisted she rest, while he handled most of the baby's care. "Are you sure you've never taken care of a baby before?" Isabella teased, as she watched Liam expertly change a diaper. Liam simply smiled, cradling Sophia in his arms. "I have the best motivation," he replied, his gaze filled with love for Isabella and their daughter. As Sophia grew, the family shared more sweet moments together. Liam spent hours playing with her, often making silly faces that left Isabella laughing. Every evening they strolled through the park as a family, with Sophia perched happily on Liam's shoulders. 1 year passed quickly, and for Sophia's first birthday, Liam planned a small celebration at home. The room was decorated with balloons and colorful banners, and a simple yet meaningful birthday cake sat on the table. After everyone sang happy birthday and Sophia gleefully smashed her cake, Liam dimmed the lights and lit a row of candles along the table. The room was filled with a soft golden glow as he picked up Sophia, placing her gently in Isabella's arms. Then he knelt before her, holding a small red velvet box. "Isabella," he began, his voice trembling slightly with emotion, "this past year with you and Sophia has been the most meaningful time of my life. Thank you for showing me what love truly is. Will you marry me and make this family complete?" Isabella was too stunned to speak at first. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she nodded and whispered, "Yes, I will." A few months later, they held a small, intimate wedding. Sophia, dressed in an adorable little gown, was carried by Liam as Isabella walked down the aisle. "Happiness isn't about grand achievements," Isabella said in her vows, "but about the moments we build together." Liam smiled, holding her hand tightly. "And I know that with you and Sophia, I've found everything I'll ever need."